This week, we are in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, where the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, held its National Executive Committee, NEC meeting from the 14th to the 16th of May. The program is Law Weekly, and I am Shola Shoyeli. The NBA is the umbrella body for all lawyers practicing in Nigeria, and the NEC is the second highest decision-making body of the association, second only to the annual general meeting AGM of the association, which will hold later this year. The NEC took some important decisions on issues of security and other issues affecting the bar. Here are the highlights from the meeting.
These are some of the leaders of the Nigerian Bar Association. The National Executive Committee, NEC, of the NBA comprises the president of the bar, all other national officers of the association, past presidents, past general secretaries, branch chairmen and secretaries, branch NEC representatives, and co-opted members of the bar. The NEC of the NBA meets quarterly to deliberate on representative, regulatory, and public interest roles of the association. They also discuss issues bordering on governance and the state of the nation generally. This meeting, holding at the International Conference Center in Abuja, is no different. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister for Justice, Mr. Mohammed Bello Adoke, perhaps set the tone for the meeting with this speech.
As we congregate over the next 3 days to examine issues that affect our association, permit me to draw the attention of this esteemed body to some of the challenges confronting us, both as a nation and profession. We are witnesses to the prevailing atmosphere of insecurity in the country, arising from the activities of terrorists and insurgents in the northeast geopolitical zone. The criminal activities of the Boko Haram sect, especially their incessant mindless bombings and attack on defenseless citizens, have remained a source of concern to government and the entire people of this country. Effort by government to get the sect to table their grievances in a constructive manner have not yielded positive results. Aware of its constitutional responsibility to provide security and protect life and property, government has resolved to confront this challenge through a cocktail of measures, including the declaration of a state of emergency in the affected states. It is important to note that some level of stability and normalcy had been achieved before the recent surge in the activities of the sect, culminating in the unfortunate abduction of students of Government Secondary School Chibok, Borno State, an act that has put the nation on the spot in the international community and caused a lot of disquiet for all well-meaning Nigerians. Government has strengthened its intelligence gathering and investigative capacity, leading to the arrest of some of these terrorists with a view to bringing them to justice. I'm pleased to report that in the last 1 year, we have been able to prosecute and secure about 8 convictions in landmark terrorism trials, while over 40 other cases are at various stages of prosecution. Given the length of time which criminal trials take in the past, this modest achievement represents significant effort in our quest to hold accountable those responsible for this heinous crime against humanity. The judiciary deserves our commendation for the wonderful work they are doing and the cooperation they have given to the process. The practice direction issued by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court has enabled terrorism-related offenses and other complex crime to be tried speedily. As we speak, a task force comprising relevant investigative and prosecutorial agencies is visiting detention centers across the country to review cases of suspects held for terrorism-related offenses with a view to prosecuting those involved and or releasing those against whom sufficient evidence to warrant the prosecution have not been established. I therefore use this medium to call on the bar to continue to give its support to the several initiatives and measures being implemented to curb the activities of these terrorists and insurgents.
The 26th president of the bar, Okewali SAN, also spoke extensively on the issue of security. He asked the federal government to pay more attention to the security of the country's national borders. He also called for a review of the strategy on terror, advised the government not to foreclose any option geared at enthroning peace, and urged all sectors of the economy to get involved in efforts to confront violent extremism in the country.
The Nigerian Bar Association here again condemns in strong terms the Chibok girls' kidnapping and the recent air bomb attacks on 2 occasions. We must here reiterate our earlier reminder to the federal government that the primary duty of government is the security of lives and property of our citizens. At the moment, the federal government is not fulfilling this constitutional responsibility. What the Chibok girls episode has depicted is the exposure of the lethargic response of the federal government to matters of urgent national security as Chibok. It is indeed a big shame that it has taken the abduction of these schoolgirls from Chibok for the menace of Boko Haram and terrorism to get the type of attention the government should pay to such dire situations. The Guardian newspaper quoted President Jonathan as saying at the World Press Conference to mark the end of the World Economic Forum on Africa, quoting the president, "As a father and president of this country, I am pained and I don't sleep with 2 eyes closed. And I will not sleep with 2 eyes closed until these girls are brought safely back to their parents." We would love to add that Mr. President should not sleep with his 2 eyes closed until the problem of terrorism is dealt with conclusively. There is something called burden of leadership, and it is by choice. Once you have chosen to seek to serve at any level, and more particularly at the level of the presidency of a great country like Nigeria, with its good, bad, and ugly, I'm sorry to say that you have beat sleeping with 2 eyes closed good night. The NBA joins the world in calling on the federal government to do everything lawful within its powers to ensure the return of the remaining 223 schoolgirls safely home to their families. We also appreciate foreign governments that have offered assistance of sorts in that regard. Terrorism is an international phenomenon. It has no borders, and the world must not allow terrorists a foothold anywhere, definitely not in our dear nation, Nigeria. We also do not think that this is time for setting up panels of inquiry to bring back the girls. To find out what happened. Let us bring back the girls first, and then we can start with our usual rituals or panels to find out the circumstances of these abductions.
The president then went on to talk about issues of the national conference, the 2015 elections, and the state of the legal profession. The Minister of State for the FCT, Mrs. Olajumoke Akinjide, had these comments to some parts of his speech.
I have listened carefully to the speech. I'm deviating from my speech here now. The speech of the president of the Nigerian Bar. And while maintaining the independence of the Nigerian Bar, what came to my mind is that we need to close the gap between government and the Nigerian Bar. I don't want to really take up the issues that have been raised because I know NEC is going to go into these issues. And of course, as a member of the Nigerian Bar, whatever NEC decides is binding on me. But my humble suggestion is that since the president of the Nigerian Bar has the power and the privilege of nominating participants to NEC, he may consider nominating members of the bar in government, federal, state, local government, in the executive, in the National Assembly, to NEC. After all, we remain full members without derogation of our rights, even though we are in government and in office. And I think maybe if we look at this suggestion, we may be able to begin to close some of the gaps. For instance, you mentioned, I will just say something I know a little bit about, which is the issue of the national conference. Because I remember when the national conference report came in, His Excellency, Mr. President, formed a committee to look at the report and to advise him which aspects of the report could be actually usefully and legally instituted. And I was fortunate to be a member of that committee. And we looked at the proposal for membership of the National Conference. And indeed, I must say that at the time, I missed the fact that the Nigerian Bar Association representation was just, as you said, just one. Basically, I mean, there was a category that the report had said of professional bodies, and a figure was given for professional bodies. And really, the President's brief was that we try as much as possible not to interfere with that report and with the recommendations. Because if you give somebody a job and they spent, I think it was 3 months or so, going around the country seeking opinions and having town hall meetings and receiving memoranda, then unless there's something there that government thinks we cannot legally actually implement, or administratively it would be difficult, then we should not interfere. And so I think that was what happened. I mean, I do have knowledge of this. It wasn't that the Nigerian Bar Association was singled out and any disrespect was meant.
In his speech, the Chief Judge of the FCT used the occasion to ask the leadership of the bar to do more to instill discipline among its members.
Sadly, we have noticed a steady decline in the standard of practice as counsel not only shoddily present their cases, but sometimes come to court ill-prepared and not ready to plead the case of their clients. There are glorious days of the bar when it was a delight to watch and hear lawyers in court. These days, they are gradually fading away, and it is our duty to revitalize the practice of law and instill better discipline in our members. Talking about discipline, let me also encourage you to strengthen the disciplinary machinery of the Nigerian Bar Association to make it better positioned to promptly address the concerns of the public against the unprofessional conduct of some lawyers among us. To further boost public confidence in our noble profession, such act of indiscipline should be made public, as well as the punishment, so that the society will know that ours is a profession of diligence and integrity. Only so can we restore the more glorious years of the bar